In relationships, we must set boundaries. I've learned this over the course of the years through the various relationships that I've had, because here's what happens when you don't. People begin to mismanage your kindness, your empathy, and your time, even. So I have learned, and it took me a long time to learn it because I'm probably what one would consider an empath. So I am the sort of person who tunes in too much to the feelings of others. It's good for humanity and mankind, but an empath can also be a target for misuse and abuse, even depending on the relationship and the dynamic of it. So yeah, you must set boundaries. I must set boundaries, and it's something I had to learn, because not doing so caused me some undue pain and suffering, and it's not like um I don't have the heart for a challenge or to help people or make those kind of sacrifices. But when it goes beyond that to the point of someone using you, and not for the benefit of just they need help or they need your assistance, but I don't have to use you, I don't need to use you, but I will because I can. So people will take advantage of your time, they will take advantage of your assets, and they will take advantage of your body. So we can imagine the kinds of relationships that these things would apply to. So yeah, so just making sure that we set some very clear boundaries, especially when we see it happening, because sometimes it comes upon us unaware. So we're like, we've gotten so involved with this person on a interpersonal level, just maybe with verbal communication, or we formed some sort of chemical bond with them just because we're in proximity or what have you. So and then trust, even that is blind oftentimes. So in doing so, people's expectation rises often to what they believe should be the standard for you being their acquaintance or friend, when in fact that should be a mutual understanding and a mutual foundation that's built, and it should be gradual, in my opinion, because what happens is when you don't perform or deliver as you are expected to, not because you're not a good friend or a good person, or that you're selfish, but because you have boundaries, you have needs, and you can't be accommodating to everything each time someone needs you to be. So that's the problem. It's not that we won't make sacrifices and we won't go out of our way to help our friends, our families, our acquaintances. That's not the problem. The problem is individuals having expectations of us that are not promised to them, or that are not the boundaries for which we will allow ourselves to cross, because we have to take care of ourselves too. So that sets one up for abuse. So the point here is we need to be sure that when we are establishing our friendships, familial relationships, or even if they're already established, as soon as we see things getting off track from what makes us uncomfortable, if you're cringing about it so much so, if it's bothering your spirit, if it's playing on your emotions, if you're angry, then we know it's a problem. So those are telltale signs that boundaries need to be in place. And sometimes, even though it's hard, we just have to be very blatant and upfront and forthcoming with people. Sometimes we don't want to do that because we don't want to receive a negative reaction from them. We don't want to receive we don't want them to receive us the wrong way, or we don't want to um, damage the relationship. But the reality is, if they are causing you to feel this way, the relationship is already in a sense being damaged. They're just not being made aware. So it has to be balanced, right? So when we have these conversations with our the people that we deal with on whatever level, then we just need to make, before we blow up and it grows out of proportion, and then it's really a problem, which often happens when we don't address these things up front. Then it'll cause things that could have been prevented. So we talk about it, like for example, if someone says, well, um I need you to send me $100, just all of a sudden. And you're like, okay, I really don't feel comfortable with that, or I don't have it right now, or I do have it right now, but I don't feel comfortable with that. And then, they feel that, or maybe you just don't have enough. Maybe you have other obligations, and maybe the trust isn't all the way there, so it could be a array of reasons why you decline doing something that someone has an expectation for you to do. But if anyone's understanding, your true friend, and a reasonable person, they'll understand, especially if you have good reason. You don't even have to have good reason. It should just be a simple yes or no, and they should be able to receive it. So anytime people treat you as if you owe them something, it's a big red flag. Or if they try to manage you with um basically bullying you about what they think you should do or what you should be to them as a friend or acquaintance or whatever, then we need to maybe revisit the um, quality of the relationship and see if it's going to be beneficial, or if we just need to call it quits altogether. So if setting your boundaries causes friction to the degree that you have to feel challenged by the opposing person, then again, it may be time to reconsider, is this someone I want to deal with?